A man was walking alone. He was attacked by strangers, left hurt, bleeding, and helpless on the side of the road. Many people passed by. They saw him, but no one helped. Then, a man came along. Someone from a group that didn't get along with his people. Someone who had every reason to walk away, but instead, he stopped. He cared. He helped. This story is called the Good Samaritan. But it's more than just a story. It's a lesson about kindness, about love, about choosing to help, even when no one else will. Why this message matters today. We live in a divided world, divided by race, by religion, by politics, by pride. Too often we only care for people who look like us, think like us, agree with us. But the story of the Good Samaritan breaks all those walls. It shows us what true compassion really looks like, not in words, but in action. This video will walk you through 3 powerful truths hidden inside that short story, not just to inspire you, but to show you how you can be that kind of person in your everyday life. Kindness that crosses borders, mercy that chooses to stop, love that doesn't need a reason. It's short, it's simple, but it might just change how you see people forever. 1. True compassion sees beyond labels. Expanded, approximately 540 words. Tone, reflective, gentle, spiritually grounded. In the story Jesus told, a man is traveling along a road. He's attacked by robbers, beaten, stripped, and left half dead. It's a terrible image. Someone alone, bleeding, barely hanging on, left in the dirt, hoping someone, anyone, will stop. And then someone appears, not just anyone, a priest, a man of God. Surely he'll help, right? But he doesn't. He sees the man, but crosses to the other side of the road and keeps walking. Then comes a Levite, another religious man. He too walks away. 2 men, both respected, both spiritual, choose not to get involved. And then comes the 3rd man, a Samaritan. Now, to understand the story, you have to know this. Samaritans and Jews had a long history of conflict. They were enemies. They avoided each other. There was bitterness, distrust, even hate. So when the Samaritan sees the wounded Jew, he has every excuse to walk away. No one would blame him, but he doesn't. He comes closer. He stops. He sees not an enemy, but a human being, someone in pain, someone in need of help. So he acts. He treats the wounds. He lifts the man onto his animal. He takes him to a safe place. He even pays for his care. This is where the story flips the script, because the hero is not the priest, not the Levite, but the one everyone least expects. Why? Because real compassion doesn't care about labels. It doesn't ask where you're from, what you believe, what group you belong to. Real compassion sees pain and moves toward it. It steps over the boundaries the world builds. And Jesus uses this story to show us something very clear. It's not your title that makes you godly. It's not your religion. It's not how many verses you know. It's how you love, especially when it's hard, especially when it's inconvenient, especially when it's someone the world tells you to avoid. So what does that mean for us? It means we have to stop judging people by their labels, by their race, their past, their politics, their story. We're all carrying something. We're all hurting in some way. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply see someone and choose to care. God's love doesn't stop at boundaries. And if we want to follow Him, neither should ours. So today, don't look away. Look closer. And when you see someone in need, choose love over labels. Choose mercy over pride. Choose compassion, just like the Samaritan did. because that's how we show the world what God's love really looks like. 2. Love requires action, not intention. It's one thing to feel compassion, but it's another thing to live it out. We all have moments when our hearts are touched. We see someone in pain, and for a second, we feel something, maybe sadness, maybe a little guilt, maybe even a desire to help. But most of the time, we keep walking. Not because we're cruel, but because it's easier. It's less messy. It doesn't interrupt our plans. In the story of the Good Samaritan, Jesus points out that feeling isn't enough. The Samaritan didn't just say, "Poor man, I wish someone would help him." He didn't offer thoughts or prayers from a distance. He stopped. He moved toward the pain. He got involved. He poured oil and wine on the wounds. Not his job, but he did it anyway. He tore his own cloth to bandage them. He placed the man on his donkey, meaning he walked while the stranger rode. He took him to a place of safety, and he didn't stop there. He paid for his care, and he told the innkeeper, "If he needs more, I'll come back. I'll cover it." This is the part we often miss. Love isn't just about emotion. It's about interruption. Real compassion will cost you something: time, energy, money, convenience, maybe even your comfort. But that's where love becomes real. Not in what you feel, but in what you're willing to give. And Jesus didn't tell this story to make us feel inspired. He told it to make us responsible. At the end, he says, "Go and do likewise." Not go and be touched. Not go and think about it. But go and act. What does that look like today? It might mean choosing to stop when you'd rather stay busy. It might mean reaching out to someone others ignore. It might mean helping without being thanked, serving without being noticed, loving without being loved back. Compassion doesn't wait for permission. It moves, even when it's hard, even when it's quiet, even when no one else joins in. This is the kind of love that Jesus showed us. A love that walked toward brokenness, touched the untouchable, and gave until it hurt. And now, he invites us to do the same. So today, when you feel that pull in your heart, don't walk away. Lean in. Take the step. Do something. Because love, real love, is more than a feeling. It's a decision, a holy interruption, and a reflection of the God who didn't just feel compassion for us, but stepped down and acted. 3. The call to be an unexpected hero. When we think of heroes, we often picture people with titles: leaders, pastors, teachers, influencers, those in the spotlight. But in the story Jesus told, the hero was someone forgotten, someone overlooked, someone that society labeled as less than. The Samaritan had no title, no authority, no special status. He was part of a group that others looked down on. He wasn't expected to help. In fact, most people expected him to walk away, but he didn't. And Jesus, instead of celebrating the religious leaders, chose to lift up this unexpected man. As the example of true faith in action, at the end of the story, Jesus asked, "Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The answer was clear: the one who showed mercy. Then Jesus said something powerful, something simple but life-changing: "Go and do likewise." That's it. No long sermon, no deep theology, just a call to become the kind of person who stops when others walk by, who notices when others look away, who acts quietly, humbly, and with love. So what does that mean for us? It means that being a hero in God's kingdom doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require status, fame, or applause. It just requires a willing heart, a heart that's open to interruption, a heart that feels the pain of others and chooses not to look away. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to fix everything. You just have to show up and care. Maybe the world will never see you as a hero, but heaven will. Because every time you forgive, every time you give quietly, every time you love without expecting anything in return, you become the kind of person Jesus pointed to in this story. Not the one who knows the right thing, but the one who does it. So today, ask yourself, who is lying by the side of the road in your life? Is it a neighbor, a coworker, a friend who's been distant, or a stranger you keep passing by? You don't need a title. You don't need a stage. You just need the courage to care. Because in the end, God doesn't call the perfect. He calls the willing, and He turns ordinary people into quiet, faithful heroes. One small act of love at a time. The quiet call from God. Let's pause and remember what this story teaches us. True compassion doesn't care about labels. It doesn't ask who you are, where you're from, what group you belong to. It sees a person, a soul, a child of God, and chooses love. True compassion doesn't stop at emotion. It doesn't say, "I wish someone would help." It says, "Let it begin with me." It steps into the mess. It gives time, energy, and care, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching. And true compassion isn't reserved for perfect people. It's a quiet invitation from Jesus, a call whispered to your heart, to stop, to notice, to act. You don't need to be strong. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be willing. Because every single day, you walk past people who are hurting. They may not be bleeding on the outside, but inside, they're empty, alone, exhausted. Some are quietly crying for help. Others have stopped hoping that anyone will notice. The question isn't, did you see them? The question is, did you stop? If this story moved your heart today, if you want to love like Jesus loves, with hands that heal, with eyes that see, and with a heart that crosses boundaries, then don't stop here. There's more. Watch the next video. Love like heaven does. How to love your enemies with grace. It will show you how to turn love into a way of life. Even when it's difficult, even when it feels impossible. Because love isn't just something you feel. It's something you live, and the world is waiting for someone like you to stop, to love, and to lead.